through your perspective at Slingwave and through all of your career and your expertise, why is the attribution, specifically multi-touch attribution, why does that approach fall short?
And I love your story. 2010, that was the golden era, right? You could see across all of these environments. And, I think to answer your question, the years have changed how these walls work, right? So
Yes.
you now have walled gardens closing off data. The big platforms have just gotten bigger. Your Googles, your Metas, and oh, by the way, Amazon, the growth of Amazon, the growth of other platforms, connected TV, social. It's just harder and harder to measure across increasingly walled garden environments.
Yeah.
Plus, you have all of the changes in tracking, iOS, not being able to track, having ad blockers. Everything in this industry is moving away from a deterministic track the user across each environment.
Yes.
And by the way, it's getting more and more complex. Just think about the LLMs and how this is disrupting where you go with media and where you track. So you need to, this multi-touch world, it's a great sampling mechanism, but it's like an iceberg that's melting, right? You can reference it, and it is an important element. There's clean rooms, there's data that you can see intra one channel, like intra Amazon, intra Google. But think about trying to track across that, and anytime you have a mix that's more complex than one channel, it's very difficult.
Yeah, we're seeing the trend line go in the direction we don't want it to as far as the efficacy of this approach. So this is kind of why, we never, at OnScope, we're never like, well, that sucks. And then next week, we're going to talk to somebody. No. We're going to help forge a way forward, aren't we, Paul?
That's right. This path.
Heck,
there is a way.
Yes. And I think a big part of that is incrementality. Now, I want to do, and maybe this is just for a focus audience of one here myself, but I wanted to do a bit of level setting before we dive in. Could you give us the definition of incrementality specifically when it comes to marketing and how organizations can use this in this quest to know and understand more of what they're doing and how it's working?
Great. I love that question. It's when I think about incrementality, and we talk to marketers all the time, helping them orient around incrementality, the definition is that marketing effort that results in real business outcomes, measurable, quantifiable. And what it is not is marketing efforts that take credit for something that would have happened anyway.
Ooh.
You're walking in the door to your favorite restaurant and somebody hands you a coupon as you walk in that door. You're about to buy something anyway, right? Did that get you there? Or did that just maybe, lose margin for the company,
Yeah.
right? Now, what got you there? It was 3 blocks earlier, a year earlier, you saw an ad for this place, right? This restaurant, and you wanted to go there. So that is the incremental impact of marketing. It's that upstream touch point that started the journey for you. And yes, that last touch point, that might have helped influence you and get you over the edge. Maybe you were about to change your mind. It helped, but it didn't get all of the credit. So I think then when an organization switches their orientation to what is the portfolio of efforts I can take that truly moves my bottom line, that is an incrementality approach.
Love that. I love that. And yeah, because I think that there's always been that kind of almost unspoken thing in the attribution conversation of like, the world happens outside of your impressions, and those things are important, if a bit ephemeral. So yeah, really diving down, and we are going to get into how one does this. But let me ask you, what are the barriers that you see, the most common barriers of a marketer kind of taking this approach, or, anybody in the ecosystem taking this approach? Because it seems pretty solid, but obviously this is not how everybody is doing it. This is not how brands are insisting their partners operate. So where are you seeing this friction?
I love that question. I think what happens with incrementality is that it becomes too academic and very difficult to get to, right? So I need to understand what's working right now. What are the steps I need to take to get there? Well, most brands historically you have anchored in a last touch model, right?
Yes.
Last touch, last click. Many organizations have this general orientation that kind of comes from finance all the way down to the marketing team and the CMO saying, hey, I can see the impacts of these last touch channels. I don't know what you're talking about all of the other channels that are driving incrementality. So how do you help an organization get there? So it's not as complicated as you would think, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's essentially 3 steps. Now, it is sophisticated and it requires data science and it requires alignment, but it's essentially 3 pillars. We think of it as MMM, media mix modeling.
Mm-hmm.
So that's long time series modeling of your data and looking at the impact of independent variables like spend in channels on the dependent variable, which is revenue and or subscribers or whatever your main KPI is. So that's pillar 1. Pillar 2 is experimentation. So a rigorous test and experimentation plan. You want to lay out over the course of all of the months of the year a plan to understand each channel and figure out if you can test it and validate whether or not it's incremental and your portfolio as a whole. And then finally, you have data that's coming in real time. There is so much data. Now, it might be under walled gardens, behind walled gardens, under the rug. You need to just structure that data and get it in a format that your organization can use. So as you orient your organization, you orient partners, vendors, agencies, think about how do you establish those 3 pillars of testing. And they don't always agree. You have one say it's working. The other says it was a 0. There was no impact of CTV or whatever the channel. Now you have a debate, right? Now you have data points. Now you can actually go to the 3rd pillar and test again, right? So it's an evolution to get to that point.
Yeah, I love that. And it's been brought up on multiple episodes here at On Scope that marketing, and particularly marketing innovation, is the scientific method applied to marketing. Yeah. And the thing is, the scientific method can be frustrating as hell. Scientists are like, oh my God, the experiment didn't work. That's amazing. Because they know that is a data point. But for marketers, like, what are you talking about? It didn't work. That's amazing.
What a disappointment, right?
Yeah.